our second session on biodiversity on Lens, citizen science in action. This online session is called Coastal Biodiversity and Citizen Science, a learning workshop. My name is Emmanuel Cababaras, and I am a project leader of the Blue Carbon Program in Surigao del Sur at Oceanus Conservation. This session is led by the Global Landscapes Forum Mindanao chapter. On behalf of our entire team, we are sending out a huge welcome to you all. So from yesterday's session, we learned about the incredible coastal ecosystems that protect and sustain communities. Mangroves, coastal birds, tidal invertebrates, and seagrasses, and about how to identify and document them in the field. Today, we will introduce what citizen science is and how to use tools such as iNaturalist to document coastal species. So before we begin, let's go over some quick house rules to keep things smooth and enjoyable for everyone. So first, mute when not speaking because this helps minimize background noise. And also use the raise hand feature or chat for questions, and we'll address them during the question and answer portion. Third, keep your camera on if possible and if your bandwidth permits. So it helps create a more interactive space since we are on an online setting. And I hope everyone will engage actively and participate in polls, chat discussions, and activities. So before we jump into our talks, let's do a quick game to test our knowledge of coastal ecosystems. This game is called Ecosystem Matching. So on the screen, you'll see four categories: mangroves, mudflats, seagrass, and sandy beaches. So we'll show you a series of words or images, and your job is to quickly type in the chat which habitat you think each one belongs to. So for question number one, so for starfish, which do you think starfish belongs to? Mudflats, mangroves, seagrass, or sandy beaches? Okay, we have some answers in the chat. Seagrass, seagrass, and seagrass. And the answer is yes, it is seagrass. Thank you for your participation. For the organism number two, how about this cone snail? Which do you think its habitat is? Is it in the mudflats, mangroves, sandy beaches, or seagrasses? Okay, we have some answers. Sandy beach, seagrass. Okay. Okay. We can find this cone snail on the sandy beaches and seagrasses. So we have some correct answers here. For question number three, this little egret, where can we find these species? Is it in the mudflats, mangrove, seagrass, or sandy beach? Okay, so we have some answers. Mudflat, mangroves. We can actually find them in mudflats and mangroves. So we have some correct answers here. And for our fourth organism, the blue swimming crab, where can we find these species? Okay, we have some answers. Okay, we can find them in seagrass and mangrove areas. Okay, lastly, the mud lobster. Okay, we can find them in mangrove areas. So thank you, everyone. And great job for identifying their habitats. So this game is a sneak peek at what it may be like when you start looking for wildlife on your own and shows how diverse our ecosystems are. So many species depend on more than one habitat to survive, and that's why conservation efforts must consider the bigger picture. So now that we've warmed up with our ecosystem matchup game, let's dive deeper into the fascinating coastal ecosystems we're here to learn about. So we will have two talks today about citizen science and how it can help in conservation efforts, and what tools we can use to document wildlife, such as iNaturalist. So we'll have a short question and answer later, so feel free to take notes and save your questions for later. Okay, so now let's move into our first session for this afternoon. Let us welcome again from our session on Seagrass yesterday, Ms. Maurice Obsina, to share with us what citizen science is all about. So a virtual clap for Ms. Maurice Obsina.
Hello? Thank you, Eman. Okay lang yung audio ko. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I know it's a Sunday, so we really appreciate your time to join us this afternoon. Sige, so I will just be talking briefly about citizen science, what it is, how it helps in monitoring, and why it matters when it comes to conservation efforts. So to start, what is citizen science? So it is a very powerful approach that engages not just scientists, but also students and local communities in scientific research. So it involves participatory monitoring, action research, and scientific discovery, which allows more people to contribute to real world data collection. So citizen science doesn't just target one group, it doesn't only involve scientists or researchers or people with science as a science background, but it also involves students, citizens, volunteers, local communities, really anyone in your own community. Anyone can be a citizen scientist and anyone can join citizen science activities. So we at Oceanos, we started our citizen science activities, I think last 2022. So we are part of the Blue Cares network called BCNet, and we joined a pilot activity for the Blue Carbon Ecosystem Citizen Science Monitoring Protocol for mangroves and seagrass. We did this in Lobo, Batangas, together with the ABS-CBN Bantay Kalikasan Foundation, researchers from Hokkaido University and UP Diliman. So we had a pilot project for citizen science in Batangas, wherein we engaged with the local community there. And after that activity, we took note of what went well, what needs to be improved. And so after that, we really refined the method or our process for citizen science activities. And ever since, we are implementing it to our project sites with our partner communities. So at Oceanos, in order for us then to have a solution or to address that challenges of mangroves and seagrass ecosystems in some of our project sites. So we use citizen science as a tool to protect these ecosystems because citizen science, what's nice about it is it involves the local community. It unites communities, the scientists, the researchers, and even the policymakers to have a solution on how to address the threats that mangroves and seagrass ecosystems are facing in your own area. And what's really nice about citizen science is it engages and it parang creates an awareness in local communities as citizen scientists. So it's nice also because it bridges the gap between scientific knowledge and local knowledge to collect on the ground data. So these are a few photos of our citizen science activities in our project site. So what we do is we really teach the community the method or the proper method or the process on how to collect data for mangroves and seagrass. And then we let them practice simulation practice, and we go out in the field and we let them practice again until they are very familiar with the process, the method, and then later on they are the ones not to implement it in their area, and then they just send us the data that they have collected through a specific application. So why is citizen science so effective, and how does citizen science help in monitoring? So first, a wider coverage. So more people as I have mentioned, diba, so it's not just scientists, it's not just one group, not just scientists, hindi lang mga researchers, pero citizen science involves the general public, the students, the volunteers, the local communities in the area. So meaning more people are involved, which means we can monitor more areas at once. And the next is cost effective. So diba, in most scientific assessments or monitoring, it involves a lot of equipment, like you are required to have certain things to do the assessment. Pero what's nice also about citizen science is it's designed to be very simple, effective, and accessible to the local community, to anyone who wants to join citizen science activity. So it's very cost effective because usually all you need is a cell phone or paper, pen to document your data, to record your data. And pero in citizen science activities, there are also there are different methods. So for this, for example, for this specific activity for everyone here, we are going to use a different method because in our project sites, then we have a different method because it's parang specific for monitoring their mangroves and seagrass areas. And next is community engagement. So it fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility for local communities. And lastly is rapid data collection. So as I have mentioned, the method for citizen science is designed to be simple, effective, and accessible for everyone. And so which is why mas mabilis yung collect ng data because yun nga, it's simple and anyone can really learn it and implement citizen science activities. And next is, so one of the important things na yung benefit pala ng citizen science is to monitor your area. Pero before monitoring your area, first we really need to validate, do validation. So this means checking whether mangrove, seagrass, or coral reefs are present or absent in your area. So for example, in your area, you want to monitor your seagrass bed or the seagrass areas. So before you set up monitoring stations, you have to validate first if there's really a seagrass area based on the map. So what you will do is you will go to that area and then you validate if may presence or absence of seagrass. And then once you go there, pag na-observe ninyo na, okay, wala palang seagrass dito. So you will then be able to parang update your map or update your data na walang seagrass dito. Then you can move on to another area to validate it. And then if may presence of seagrass in that area, then you can set up monitoring stations, citizen scientists, then set up monitoring stations to compare changes over time. So it's really important to validate first if may mangrove area ba dyan or may seagrass area ba before you set up your monitoring stations and implement citizen science activity. So why does this matter? Why is citizen science? What's the impact now, or what's the importance to implement citizen science in your community or in your area? So the data collected through citizen science becomes monitoring points for project sites or for your specific area. For example, this map here, this is a mangrove area in one of our project sites in Surigao del Sur. And each point on this map represents very valuable information submitted by the citizen scientists. So for example, here in the mangrove area, when you click on each point, it will show you different data that were collected by the citizen scientists. So depende na yan sa inyo if anong specific data that you want to collect, pero each is specific to one point in the map. And one parang represent siya in one data that they have collected. So then this data helps us make decisions, support conservation efforts, and create solutions for the protection of this entire area. So again, citizen science is aside from data collection, what's really nice about it is anyone can join citizen science activities and be a citizen scientist. It's really nice because it's also about people working together to protect their local area. So by being involved in citizen science activities, you are not just observing your area, pero you are contributing very valuable information for research and future conservation efforts in your area. So I think that would be all. If you have any questions about citizen science, you can just type it out in the chat box. And I think for this activity, we will have a different application. We will use a different application, and it's a different method also for citizen science, which will be discussed later on. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Maurice, for that presentation. So we have learned that citizen science bridges the gap between scientific knowledge and the local ecological knowledge of the communities. So in this way also, we push forward the sense of ownership for the communities, while citizen scientists contributing to data, as what Marie said, the important information for research and future conservation efforts. So the three things that you mentioned, citizen science is simple, effective, and accessible. So thank you for that, Maurice. So now we'll be going over to our last part of the webinar program. So this will be a live walkthrough on how to use iNaturalist. So can everyone please get their phones and open their iNaturalist application? Thank you. So let's also welcome and listen to Richie to demo on how to use iNaturalist and how to operate it in the field. So please have the floor, Richie.
Hi, maayong hapon sa tanan. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. So as asked, please open your phones. I hope naka-download na po kayo ng iNaturalist and that you have joined the project because this will be a live walkthrough. So can we get in the chat who hasn't or who has already? Or we can also continue with the walkthrough. Sige. I hope naka-log in na po kayo. Sige, we can go to the next slide while people are logging in. So as previously mentioned by Ms. Mariz, citizen science gives us an opportunity to document things around our local area, lalo na yung biodiversity natin. And I think one of the points I wanted to touch is that sometimes we have no idea that we have a unique species in the area, or we have no idea what kind of yung diversity pala niya pag abot sa aton area. Like, for example, we can increase representation of different species. Kay, I'm sure pag abot sa Manila, people have one idea of what a clam should look like. Pero pag abot sa ibang munisipyo, is ibang provinces, for example, tulad ng picture na makita nyo sa slide, a clam or a type of clam can also look like this, and they can vary in different colors and different subspecies. And that's what we wanted to capture. It's not just Oceanus Conservation is interested in citizen science as well, but even DNR has been calling for citizens, urging them to participate in citizen science. They've been trying to track the status of mangroves and coral reefs and seagrasses as of this past year. And they are developing tools that would make it easier. So we're choosing iNaturalist because it's simple and it's a way to encourage everyone to try it out first without having to worry about yung super specific nga scientific methods. It's really for the sake na ma-expose kayo sa citizen science and also photojournalism pag-abot sa mga biodiversity sa areas niyo. And different scientists around the world can even contact you via iNaturalist, or future researchers can ask, oh, you've gone to this area, may nalantaw kayo na ganitong species, can I ask you for more information kung kamusta yung field mo dyan? Things like that are possible with iNaturalist. Sige po, let's proceed with the next slide. So what we're essentially calling everyone to do sa photo challenge isn't just to submit a picture. We're calling everyone here to participate in a bio blitz. So tulad ng citizen science, it's when a group of persons go to a specific area for a specific period to take photos of the different kinds of biodiversity in their area. And that information can be collated at a later point. So now that we have a bit of a background, we can proceed to the next slide to begin the live walkthrough. So I hope everyone has their phones out right now in the application. So for us to be able to upload the submission, the first thing we have to do is to locate the new observation feature. So you can find that sa lower right ng screen, yung green plus sign, or upper left, tapos pindutin mo yung new observation manually. So I understand iPhone and Android have different interfaces, no? So hanapin nyo lang yung green plus sign to add a submission. And note that you can either take a live photo or upload a photo. But if you're going to upload a photo, tapos babalik ka na sa bahay, base ang location na kukunin niya is your home address. Hindi naman ibutang yung actual home address mo ha, but it will probably not reflect the correct location. So when you do your BioBlitz, take note of the area you're in, kahit pangalan lang ng park, pangalan lang ng beach, or if you know how to get your coordinates manually using your inbuilt phone GPS or inbuilt phone compass, pwede mo siyang i-copy muna tapos ipe-paste mo later on in the submission. We'll show you how to do that later. Next slide. Thank you. Sige, so let's say you've already selected a photo. So in this case, I've selected just one photo for this example. What are the things that you're going to need to fill up and what are we expecting from your submission? So in the first row, you'll see what did you see. There, we want you to explain, I saw a shell. Kahit hindi mo na muna specify kung anong klaseng species niya, that's fine. It's better if you try to put in and like it's just a shell, it's just something I'm familiar with. But if it's really unknown, pwede mo rin siya i-blanco tapos i-fill up mo na lang later on pag uwi ka na or when you have time before the deadline of all the submissions, of course. But let's say na you already have the time and you still don't know what it is, you've already looked through the field guides, you can also tap the view suggestions feature. So when you view the suggestions feature, you'll find what the AI sa iNaturalist is suggesting what it could be. Minsan tama siya, minsan hindi. So you still have to try to look through the field guides. And if not, later in this walkthrough, I'll explain how other peers can help in identifying species. Other things that you should take note of. So in the third row, you'll see my notes. Your notes column this is going to be important for your photo submissions, lalo na if you're looking to try to win some photo contest, is you have to put in what photo criteria you are submitting this picture for. So later, discuss natin kung ano yung iba't ibang klaseng criteria and we will re-forward that into our group chat for everyone's information. And also the caption. So the caption could be about why do you think this species should be monitored or conserved, so that you can also touch on what are threatening it, why it's important in your area based off your observations, and other important details like what kind of habitat did you find it in, what are the threats in the area, is it alive or dead? Tulad ng picture na ginbutang ko sa submission, it's technically POS or copy shell, and technically since isang shell na lang, isang peraso na lang siya, it's dead. And other relevant observations na makikita mo sa organism na to or around its area that is directly affecting the organism. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. Now, going back to location, so let's say you're in the area and there's signal, you can, during your submission, you can tap the fourth row, which is your location. You have to just make sure that yung GPS location feature sa phone mo is on, and automatically kung may signal, kukunin niya yung coordinates of directly where you are. Offline submissions naman, my recommendation for that would be, pwede kayo you need to know what kind of beach you're in, ano yung pangalan ng beach, tapos pwede mo na lang siya i-type in, or kung kabalo ka or marunong ka mag-Google Earth or Google Maps, pwede mo rin makuha yung coordinates of where you approximately were. It's okay if you don't get the exact location, as long as it's within the area that you have gone to. So Later on in the project kasi, all your individual submissions will form a spot map, tulad ng pinakita ni Maris sa previous presentation. And this is going to be valuable in looking at what are the things that are existing in your area, and so on and so forth. Sige, next slide. Now, another way to get your location is if you're really in the area and you want to calibrate your GPS, you're still going to click the same tab, yung sa location part, in location tab, and then this screen on the right will pop up. So there's the symbol that I highlighted in blue. If you click that, it will calibrate your exact location, or to the extent that your phone can calibrate your location, and then automatically makuha na siya. So it's good to do this per submission if you really want to get the exact location. Pero if not, you can always edit later and just copy paste yung coordinates, yung unang-unang coordinates mo, or yung area kung anong beach or anong mangrove area na pinuntahan mo, tapos okay na yan. So this is just in case you wanted to get something more accurate, and if you have signal. Kasi kung wala kang signal and hindi mo siya na-calibrate before leaving, then you will not be able to do this option. But don't stress about that. Sige, next step. So I made a sample, just a sample submission of how that would look like. But just so you know that even if you submit it while you're still in the field, pwede mo pa rin siya i-edit afterward. You can also just, you finalize your submission by clicking the green button. Kahit wala kang signal, the moment na punta ka sa area na may signal, ma-upload na siya agad. Just make sure that you open your phone to check na naka-up na it's already being uploaded. So parang naka-queue lang siya kung wala ka pang signal. And then your final submission will look like what's on the right side. So nandyan yung location, tapos pwede mo pa i-edit yung other details. Gina-highlight ko yung pen symbol sa babaw para at least you can still edit it after in case may naalala ka pang ibang observation you wanted to include in your submission. Sige. Next slide, please. Okay. So we also have this feature sa iNaturalist called monitoring your observations. So what makes that so special? Why do I still have to monitor my submissions? Hindi ba na yan tapos? Technically tapos ka na. But then the nice thing about this is that you get to get live notifications from other researchers, other users who are looking at your submission. Tapos i-check nila na, oh, I know what the species is. Or kaya sasabihin nila, mali pala yung ginbutang mo. It's actually the species. And you'll get these notifications like you would as you would normally in Facebook. But these comments are called annotations. So annotations, there are 3 levels to that sa iNaturalist. Ang pinaka-goal natin is that we get research grade. That's if you have 3 different people commenting on your post and saying that this is the species and they all agree, all 3 of them agree, then it can be classified as research grade. Pero okay lang halimbawa na wala talaga nagko-comment sa submissions mo, there's nothing we can do about that, and that's okay. That's not part of the criteria. But we do appreciate seeing users who would try to at least, put in a suggestion of what they think it is based off their research. And you can also do the same to other people who submit on the project. So pwede mo rin makita ano yung pinopost ng ibang participant in the dashboard. Ma-access mo yung dashboard using desktop, or pwede mo rin siya i-access using your phone. So, again, it's notified in pink kung may annotations ka, and you can check it at any time. It becomes research grade once it becomes green when the letters are G. Okay, next slide. Okay, what if pinuntahan ko na yung area and I don't know where to go, I don't know what to look for. So that's also a nice feature about iNaturalist. Going back sa tatlong lines sa upper left, makikita mo aside from new observations, may explore and projects. So kung puntahan mo yung explore tab, you will see different other observations that have been done in your area, or you can even filter what areas you want to see, what kind of birds, what kind of shells, what kind of fish have been observed in your area, pwede again. And you can also click the projects tab and see what other communities, what other projects are available maliban sa project natin. So it's great when you're trying to look for what are the possible things you can find in your area? Or kaya, kung natingnan mo na, nakita mo na lahat ng mga submissions ng other persons in your area, tapos you realize, oh, wala pa nagka-submit sa ganitong klaseng species na nakikita ko, then it also gives you an idea kung what else is there that you could contribute kung familiar ka na talaga sa area where you want to do your BioBlitz. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide to give an example of what that can look like. So halimbawa, you try the Explore tab and you'll get to see the different things that have been submitted in your area. And you will also be able to filter again kung gusto mo mammals lang gid, amphibians, or you can even put in the exact genus that you're hoping to find in your area. But given that iNaturalist is still relatively new in some areas of the Philippines, hindi pa siya nasubukan, maybe you won't find what you're looking for. But at least you'll have an idea of what contributions are happening sa area mo and what you can contribute. And if not iNaturalist, there are other tools online. For example, kung may access ka sa seagrass area or you think there might be a seagrass area malapit sa'yo, there's something called Allen Atlas. So that's a separate website, hindi po siya iNaturalist. But you can see there na using satellite imagery, it can make a guess kung saan dampe ang mga seagrass, ang mga coral reefs. And you can go there yourself to validate kung meron ba nga or wala. So maraming tools online. And even since DNR has been urging citizens to do citizen science, no, they have also published maps of where they've seen mangroves, of where they've seen seagrasses. So those are things that we can look for online. But I encourage to try iNaturalist muna para at least makita mo yung ibang existing nga submissions. Sige, let's proceed sa next slide. Okay, let's quickly go through some ideal examples. Tulad ng game na ginawa natin yesterday, this was yung Avicennia Marina. And in a single submission, you don't put just one picture. You can have multiple shots in one picture. Yun ang pinaka-ideal. Kasi katulad ng mga ibang mangrove, they look so similar. And you need to have different shots to be able to differentiate kung ano siya. Tulad ng sa presentation ni Sir Eman kahapon na sometimes you have to look at the leaves, the roots, yung klaseng flowers and fruits, kung ano available sa species or organism na ginakuha mo, it's better to have different angles and close-up shots of different parts of it para ma-identify siya talaga. Hindi pwede lang na one big tree, hindi ko makita kung ano shape ng leaf, hindi ko makita kung may mga bunga ba yan or anything. So let's look at the other actual examples that I've come across or that I've submitted on iNaturalist. So this one was from our recent youth camp where we also did the BioBlitz and we were able to assist the campers with this. So this is an example of an Avicennia. And when I was on site, hindi ko talaga siya ma-identify kung ano siya kasi nalilito ako sa leaf shape. So that's why I took a photo of the leaf. Ginkuha ko rin ng picture ng anong kulay ng bark niya and ang aerial roots just to make sure na pag ipasa ko sa expert, they'd have a higher chance of identifying it. And if you notice the picture, may makita ka ng basura, may makita ka na plastic or mga bioman, sa tree, that's also okay because you can also include that sa caption na I think that the microplastics or plastic pollution are affecting the mangroves in my area. Those are observations that you can include and that's also important information para mabalaan namin at mabalaan ng ibang researchers around the world kung kamusta na yung status ng different kinds of biodiversity sa area mo. So let's move on to another example. We also have, this is another mangrove and in sa area where we went, I had no idea what kind of mangrove this was. Abi ko Avicennia man kay parehas lang ang leaf shape in my opinion at the time. And the only way I was able to ask someone what this was is um because I had pictures of the flowers at kung ano siya ng bunga niya and you were able to identify it as a type of Dulcimera species na wala pa sa area namin at the time. Yes, Lumicera racemosa, yes. So that's why it's important to have different photos of a mangrove, lalo na kung mangrove, pero pwede man kahit ibang organism. Kay maraming species that look very similar. Sige, let's move on to our final example. So I have some photos from iNaturalist that have shells, that have seagrass, and my advice is na pag abot sa shells, mas maganda kung may familiar item ka that would be in the same photo. Tulad ng yung may yellow ruler, may 1 peso dyan. Kasi yung shells, syempre, if it's small, you're going to try to get a good shot kung ano tsura talaga ng shell. But then, mawawala yung concept namin kung anong size niya, which can really help with classification. And then on the right image, on the left image pala, you'll see that wala siyang 1 peso. So, ginamit niya lang yung kamot niya or yung hands niya, which is also good for size comparison. Seagrass man, you also need to have close-up shots of that. Okay lang kung like wide angle and then close-up shot. So we also understand yung distribution ng seagrass, for example. And especially in pictures na nakacamouflage na talaga yung starfish, for example, sa balas or sa sand, hindi mo na makita or hindi na siya halata. It's good to have like an item that you can put next to it. On the right-hand image man, you'll notice na there are at least 2 different angles for shells. So there are different ways to document man ang iba't ibang klaseng tidal invertebrates, no? But the rule of thumb is kung shell siya, mas kanami or mas kaayo man kung if you have 2 different angles of it, or kung 2 pieces siya, you get both shots of both pieces. So we are going to be forwarding man different field guides that you can use at a later time for when this project starts, when your data collection starts, and you can also look at the other examples dyan. But try to have an idea na kung saan ka pupunta para you can already read up of what kind of field guides you need to look at or what kind of species you need to look at bago ka ma-start sa field. Okay. I think next slide. This will be the final output. So my presentation is coming to an end, but this is what the final oops. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Naging self-time ko. Sorry. Yung final output is this is what it would look like sa project. Malantaw natin yung iba't ibang contributions, makita natin yung spot map, and we'll get to see kung sino nasa leaderboard. Hindi po to competition ha, so okay lang yan kung waay ka sa leadership board. Kay may ibang-ibang klaseng types of criteria that we can get into. Then we'll move on to yung final slide, just some final reminders so that everyone is on the same page sa best practices pag-abot sa field. Can we go to the next slide? So this is the last slide. So remember that we should to keep us safe, to keep both our phones and our feet safe, lalo na kung makadto ka sa mangrove, seagrass, or even beach areas or mudflat. Please wear aqua shoes. Please protect your feet. And you can always opt to bring a waterproof bag or pouch for your phone, depende kung anong oras ka makakadto. Kay what if, what if your phone falls? At least safe siya. And safety considerations, please don't touch anything that you are not familiar with, tulad ng ginambal or sinabi ni Miss Chusi kahapon, and leave nothing but footprints. Be careful man where you step, kay tulad ng picture sa left, hindi pa to na-present yesterday, but an example lang gid. Stonefish siya that if you step on it and its spines are venomous, basi you can get poisoned or be very sick or even die. So I would recommend na don't touch anything na hindi ka familiar and protect yourself. That brings me to the end of this walkthrough. Yung sa next part of our program will really be about yung mini challenge. So we're going to have a brief 10-minute challenge if you guys are ready, where everyone here will try to use their phones and put up a submission. So we're going to be waiting for you guys to, if you can, kindly open your phones and try to take a shot of any nearby plant, any nearby insect that you can see in your area. Kung wala talagang organism, that's fine. Kahit gawin mo na lang example ng vase, ng glass, or whatever. And we will be able to see that on our iNaturalist project kung ano submissions nyo. And this is also the best time then to ask any questions in case you guys are having trouble with putting in submissions. So if you guys are ready, we can we can start. We can start now. Feel free to raise your hand then if ever you guys have concerns on how you will submit the picture. And note guys, we'll be submitting directly through iNaturalist ha, hindi po sa group chat. We'll have 10 minutes for this activity. So sana by 4:55 may makita na kami na submissions on iNaturalist. If not, then questions. Ay, hello, sorry. Yes, I see questions on the chat. Yes, okay lang po kung past photos ang isa-submit nyo. Pwede man. But just please make sure that you have already joined the group. So, I've noticed that there are only 17 members na naka-join sa iNaturalist project natin. So, if you're not yet a member of that, like hindi ka pa nag-request to be a member sa link, we can resend the link here. I will resend the link here on our chat or there. Ayan po. Please join as a group first, tapos makikita namin yung mga observations nyo. Yeah, so saved is okay. We have until 2:55 for this activity.
Richie, there's a question on our chat on how to join the project.
Okay. Hi, guys. So, um, can I, is it okay if I ask you to unmute po, sir? Sir Mark? Kasi I'd like to know if, are you accessing from your phone or are you accessing from your desktop? Okay. So if you go to your, if you're trying to access a project, you will, were you able to open up sa page ng from short to screen or hindi pa po? Okay. Kasi when you access a project sa directly sa iNaturalist, you'll notice sa upper part ng screen, there'll be three options na to join or to learn more about the project. So, kung nakapindot ka na ng to join, then you are already part. Okay, thank you.
So if you still have questions or clarifications on navigating the iNaturalist, you can send them in the chat or ask Richie to guide you. Thank you.
I received a private message asking kung ba't hindi siya nag-upload sa project. So, kung sa submission screen, nalantaw nyo sa pinakadalom na projects, you don't need to select the project anymore. As long as you are a member, it will automatically upload. Hi guys, so we have 1 more minute to go. So we've seen so far one submission come in. So it's okay if like you don't see your submission right away kasi it might be taking some time to upload. So in our previous experiences po kasi with the application is, for example, you've uploaded a species and you try to identify the species upon your submission, it can take a few minutes to reflect because the system is also trying to check if it's a correct observation or not. So it's actually faster if you want to see it reflect agad sa project. If you don't put any name, you leave it as unknown. So sometimes it will take a while for the system to reflect submissions then if there are a lot of submissions happening at the same time.
So another question on the chat, how to know if submitted na?
If you go to your my observations part, makita mo basta the picture itself will have like a loading symbol on it. So that's if it's still waiting to upload. Pero for the system to check if like if tama ba yung ginbutang mo na species, that could take a little bit more time. Okay. But if ever there are other concerns then about this, we can also talk about it more on the group chat. Kay I'll be active man in the group chat in case there are other concerns. So don't hesitate to reach out. So thank you guys for participating in this quick activity.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Richie, for going through the iNaturalist. And I hope everyone has followed. And as what Richie said, you can ask questions or guidance in the group chat. So I hope everyone is ready to go out in the field and do the photo challenge next week. So now let us have a short question and answer session. So if you still have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat box and we will answer them directly. So if you still have questions or clarifications, please don't be shy to ask. So I think others are still uploading their submissions, no? But for the others who still have questions, please ask them on the chat box. So Ma'am L'Oreal said mine's posted but is not reflecting on the project page yet.
Hi. So there was also another similar concern. Yung sinabi ng isa pang participant was that they tried uploading as of last night pa. So to clarify, we had set like the range for uploads starting from today onward. So if you've had previous submissions in the past and it's not reflecting, then maybe that's why. But if you've tried uploading just now, then maybe the system is really taking some time.
Okay,
And there's also a follow-up question pala. Yes, we will be giving certifications after the webinar, and we will also be passing the field guides that we have compiled for this activity as well.
okay, thank you, Richie. So I think they don't have any questions na. But if you still have questions, guys, if you're shy to ask here in the Zoom, we can answer your questions in the group chat later on.
I've received another question. Uh, yes, you can still use iNaturalist even after this activity. So you don't need, this is just to introduce those who are not yet familiar with iNaturalist. They can still continue using it and joining other communities and joining other projects, or not even joining any and just continue submitting. So I hope you continue to still use it.
Okay, thank you for that. There's another concern here, Richie. I think the reason it's not reflecting is because my photo was taken a few days ago. iPhone records the date and location of the photo. How do you deal with the
Mm,
the
yes.
photos?
It is. So iNaturalist can take note of your photos metadata, if I remember if that's the correct term. So let's say you're using a very old photo and iNaturalist can access what date it was taken. And depending on the settings of your phone, it can also access where you took the photo. So I know iPhone has Apple UI is very much updated when it comes to this. So kung makita ni iNaturalist that you didn't do it, I mean that it was like at an earlier date, it might not reflect in the project because we have a certain range. Another possibility then is that you can try manually tweaking in the submission, manually inputting today's date and see if it will upload or not. Yeah, so you can try that now and let us know if it works. If not now, then on our group chat.
Thank you for that, Richie. If you still have questions, everyone, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay, so it already worked to change the date of submission. Okay, thank you, everyone. So at least we already addressed this concern.
I have a quick reminder for everyone. So we really we really encourage all participants na to please try and they use photos that you are taking within this date range and not using old photos because that wouldn't be reflective anymore of this activity. So we will be updating the range again na starting later this evening until March 23 to be accepting these submissions. So I think a good way to verify this is na will be also bumping up on the chat if anyone like whenever you guys are going out siguro for your field, so at least we understand or we can verify that you have that these submissions were taken within the date range if that's okay with everyone. So we request talaga that you please try to stay within the date range of this bio blitz and use photos taken within that range.
Okay, thank you for that reminder, Richie, and thank you everyone for your questions. So if you have other questions, you can ask them later on our group chat, and Richie or Maurice will answer those questions. And for now, we would also like to ask, and we'll have an open discussion on what species do you think should be monitored in your area. So if there's anyone would like to share species that can be found in the area that you think should be monitored, please feel free to share them or raise your hands if you want to share anything. Okay, we have some answers. Race for Habitat by Aman Chalonia Midas. Can you please elaborate on why do you think this species should be monitored in your area? And we also have an answer from Ma'am Noriel, Philippine Ducks and Island Flying Fox. If you can open your mic to also share with other participants. Okay, we all.
So hello po. Good afternoon. Can you hear me po?
Yes, Ma'am Noriel.
Okay, so I think in here I think the species that we need to monitor is the Philippine ducks or the Philippine ducks and the island flying foxes because for one Philippine ducks are vulnerable in IUCN Red List. Also well they are indicator species and also for island flying foxes, they are they help in dispersing fruit seeds of the fruit trees as well as yeah. So they also indicate a healthy mangrove ecosystem or mangrove forest. That's all.
Okay, thank you for that, Ma'am Noriel. I hope you can record some and submit also those recordings in the iNaturalist group if you ever, or if you're lucky enough to see those species. And thank you for that. So, sea cucumbers, would you like to share, Sir Clint? So what other species do you think should be monitored in your area? Please feel free to share so that other participants could also relate and be able to share the species that they think should be monitored in their area. Hala, hindi visible ang current location ko ngayon. Sige pa. It's okay. So how about the others? If you'd like to share some, you could also share in our group chat if you're too shy to share here in the Zoom webinar. Okay, so I think si Ma'am Noriel lang yung strong-hearted dito na participant, no? So, thank you so much, everyone. But before we end this session, I would like to invite everyone to join us in our GLFX Mindanao chapter if you haven't yet. So, as a reminder, certificates will be given to those who have completed the 2 webinar sessions, so yesterday and today, and to those who have submitted their entries in the iNaturalist project on March 24. So also, if you're posting on your social media accounts regarding the webinar and your photos on the field, don't forget to tag us on Facebook, Oceanus Conservation, and on Instagram, Mangroves for Our Future. And also you can tag Global Landscapes Forum. So before we end this session, I would like everyone to open their cameras if your bandwidth permits, so we can take a group photo. Okay, Shar, could you please take the photo? So we have 2 pages here, so stick lang yung smiles niyo guys so that we can capture your beautiful faces. Let's go.
Sige, waiting on the others to open. Okay, ready? One. Wait. Wait. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, another one. One more. Okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Shar, and thank you to everyone. And don't forget to tag us on Facebook and on Instagram. So once again, thank you to all our amazing participants for tuning in and engaging, and a big thank you to our speakers, Angela Marie Subsina and Richie Tagle. So let me call on Richie again to discuss the next steps for the BioBlitz activity.
Hi guys. So again, for since we will be doing a photo challenge, no. Now that we're done with both webinars, we have done our best to orient and to capacitate everyone on the different kinds of wildlife you may find. That was yesterday's session, and then how to identify them, and today how more to use tools, citizen science tools to document them. So the next thing that's going to be next is a photo challenge that will last from March 16 today until 23. So we'll be waiting for all of you to upload and submit all of your photos to our iNaturalist project by March 23, 2025, by 12 noon, so that we can have time to review them. So let's quickly go through the different criteria that you could apply for your submission. So to the next slide. So again, how to submit is that each of your submissions should contain the following in your notes tab: is which criteria is this for, and what your conservation message is. So a good prompt for this again is, why do you think the species needs to be monitored or conserved? And then to include other notes about the habitat it's found in, the threats it's facing, and other observations. All right, let's proceed sa mga criteria. So the first criteria is that we will be selecting one winner for the best mangrove photo. So this award will go to that of the most visually striking and scientifically valuable image of a mangrove species. So the submission can, of course, contain not just one photo but multiple photos to get this challenge. So it has to highlight the ecological importance of mangroves and shows clear details of the species and its habitat. And note, for all the criteria, we need to know that we need to be able to see that you've been able to apply the different tips that we have shared with all of you for this program. Sige, next. We will also be selecting one winner for the most unique species observation. So this is going to be given to the participant who documents a species that is rare, underdocumented, or even endangered or threatened, or with a high ecological significance in their area. It can be verified either through a naturalist or could be verified by our speakers. And it has to include a well-documented notes on its location and habitat. Our third criteria is the best coastal bird photo. So I also wanted to remind everyone that while not everyone is in a coastal area, that is okay. You can also document other birds in your area, but we are anticipating that maybe at least we'll have at least one submission that's about coastal birds, shore birds, and the photo is going to be the best photograph will be recognized by capturing the bird in its natural habitat, and it captures its behavior, its action, or interaction with the habitat. It has a clear focus, good composition, and natural lighting. So again, we also understand that some people may have access to very good cameras like yung sinasabi ni Sir Jim yesterday of having a big zoom. So for this challenge, we're going to be requesting everyone to use their phones instead, to be using the iNaturalist app when capturing photos. It's okay. It's just the best that you're able to do using the tips that Sir Jim said about bird watching. It's okay kung hindi talaga kayang sa Zoom mo, but that's fine. So, best invertebrate photo is going to be for those with the most detailed and visually compelling image of invertebrate species or other tidal species that you can find, including crabs, mollusks, gastropods, or other intertidal invertebrates. So it needs to be well lit in order to capture all the details of an invertebrate and you can also highlight in the caption its ecological role and indicate its interaction in the habitat, since all tidal species play an important role. The fifth award will be about the citizen scientist of this project. So it's given to the participant with the highest number of verified observations, demonstrating dedication to biodiversity monitoring. So in the leaderboards, we will be able to see that, and consistently uploads quality observations. So hindi lang, it's always going to be quality over quantity. Hindi lang basta nag-upload ka lang ng maraming observations. And it also tries to engage with other participants for species identification on iNaturalist. Okay, and our last criteria is Conservation Storytelling Award. So this is going to be given to the person with the best caption about why they think the species should be conserved. It recognizes that they were able to best communicate a pressing environmental issue or conservation message in their submission using the caption or the notes part of their submission. Strong visual storytelling with an impactful description raises awareness about a local environmental concern about the species and can answer this question: why should the species be monitored or conserved? So those are all the criteria that we'll be having for the photo challenge. And good luck to everyone. We'll be waiting for your submissions until March 23, 12 noon.
Thank you so much, Richie. So again, if you have any questions or concerns along the way, when you start doing the Bio Blitz activity, feel free to message our group chat and we will guide you. And we hope that today's and yesterday's discussion has inspired you to practice citizen science in your community. And it is important for all of us to remember that we cannot protect what we don't measure. We cannot protect something we don't love. We cannot love what we don't know, and we cannot know what we don't see. So have a great weekend, everyone, and good luck and stay safe. And remember that we should respect nature and wildlife and leave no trace. So thank you so much, everyone, and we hope to see your submissions on this coming week. And good luck to all of you guys. Have a great Sunday.